Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. I know it was late notice, but unfortunately, we don't get to plan for things like this, and we did not know the governor was going to weaponize OHP against our city. So I appreciate you all showing up so quickly. So just again, I know we already did introductions, but these are behind Chairman Waldron and I are our county party officers. We have our secretary, Christine Poe, my vice chair, Hudson Harder, and our affirmative action officer, one of the two, Uriah Davis, and then, of course, Chairman Waldron from the Oklahoma Democratic Party and state representative. So let's get the fun started. I think we just need to be very clear about what is going on in Tulsa right now, and it is not about public safety. It is about a politician and power. I spent the day yesterday walking around Tulsa. I went to encampments. My vice chair joined me when we went to encampments throughout Tulsa to talk to people and hear from them about what their experience has been like so far since OHP, DPS, and ICE have descended upon their community. And these are folks who are just trying to survive. And we talked to service providers who are doing their best to serve this community with very, very little. Here's the truth. There are no more people who are in recovery there are no more people who are at a treatment facility who are now on the road to recovery thanks to Kevin Stitt. Mm-hmm. Okay. There are no more people who slept in a bed last night because of Kevin Stitt. Our resources are stretched thin. Our treatment facilities are full. Our shelters are full. And now, thanks to this effort, a lot of the closets, so places where people who are homeless go and they are able to get clean socks and clean underwear and shirts and shoes, a lot of these resources are now being depleted as well because people are having all of their things thrown away and they are having to go and get new things. So we're just putting pressure on the system that is unnecessary and it's not helpful. The governor says that folks have a choice. They can either go to treatment, they can go to a shelter, or they can go to jail. Well, that is a lie. That is a lie. They are not taking people to treatment facilities or to shelters. We talked to dozens of people yesterday who were picked up and they were taken a mile or two down the road and dropped right back off while all of their things were being thrown away. It is not just debris, as was mentioned in the governor's statement yesterday or today. It is tents, it's their clothing, it's their documentation, it is their blankets, it's everything that they have, okay? It's not right what is happening. These folks are still homeless, they're still on the street, and now they're in a worse position. So the governor is making homelessness in Tulsa worse. He is actively making it worse. And he is trying to play tough guy for the camera so that he can try and get the attention of Donald Trump. We know this playbook. We are seeing it happen all over the country. They are attacking cities with black mayors, and they are, Kevin Stitt is actively trying to get the National Guard sent here. He wants troops marching down the street. He wants tanks rolling down the street. He wants that, and he is doing just the most heinous thing to get this attention. Human beings are not political pawns. Sorry, it's very frustrating. If you would have been with me yesterday, you would see folks are already in like the worst position that they can imagine themselves being in. I have been homeless before, okay? It is very difficult, and it is an extremely dehumanizing experience. You don't just lose your bed, a safe place to sleep at night. You lose your dignity, you lose your sense of security and your sense of safety. And we have so many people doing great work in this city to help this community. And Kevin Stitt is coming and he is setting us so far back. He is setting us so far back. Now, we are not going to stand here and pretend that homelessness is not an issue. In Oklahoma, Tulsans are very aware that homelessness is an issue here in our city. That is why Tulsans elected Mayor Nichols last year. They elected him in large part because of his commitment and his plan to bring Tulsa to functional zero homelessness by 2030. And Kevin Stitt does not have to like it, and he does not have to like Mayor Nichols but he needs to either get with the plan or get out of our way. It is not right what he's doing. And it is not just people who are homeless who are being targeted. They are targeting immigrants now. We've seen this before as well. ICE raids, the distract and divide. That is what this is about. Again, using human beings as political pawns. And if Kevin Stitt wants to make Tulsa safer for everyone, if he wants to make our city safer, then he should not put an entire community within our city in a position where now they're afraid to report crimes to the police. Now they are more vulnerable to attacks. They are more vulnerable. Women who are undocumented, they're more vulnerable to being sexually assaulted. Children are more vulnerable to being sexually assaulted now because their parents might be afraid to go tell the police about what is happening because they don't want to get sent to a death camp in some other country where they are connected to no one. It's not okay. So Tulsa is not going to be bullied. We are going to stand with our neighbors, be it homeless, regardless of your immigration status. We are going to stand alongside our neighbors and we're going to protect one another. And Kevin Stitt needs to come here and take a walk and talk to people. He needs to show up to some of these resource providers and ask them, how can I help? How can I help? He does not need to weaponize OHP so he can try to get on the nightly news. So if you care about this city, we are asking you to please call his office and tell Kevin to knock it off. Tell him to work with the city. If he really wants to do something good for our people, work in coordination with the city. And I'll end it there and I'll hand it over to you, Representative Waldron. Thank you. Let me sit two sides here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm John Waldron, Chairman of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, and the Oklahoma Democratic Party stands with the Tulsa County Democratic Party, Mayor Nichols, and the people of Tulsa against this unwarranted act of aggression by the governor. The use of highway patrol to clear out homeless camps is a stunt, not a strategy. Now, I've worked with Mayor Nichols, and I know that he has a comprehensive strategy for addressing the problem of homelessness. It's not simple. You must build more housing. You must find help for people. You've got to give people services they need to get back on their feet. We're talking about a lot of people who aren't bad. They're merely unfortunate. And the governor's policy is just going to send them packing down the road without any comprehensive solutions. It doesn't make our communities safer. It doesn't address the root causes of the problem. And I would venture to say that this governor thinks a housing policy involves spending your taxpayer dollars on mansions for him while he's cutting the Department of Mental Health budget and 300 contracts that could go to organizations that could address the problems that we have. Mental health issues, housing issues, substance abuse issues. These are a serious way to tackle the problem of homelessness. Mayor Nichols is working on that. Governor Stitt, why aren't you? This is not a good policy, and I would urge you to call the Highway Patrol off and get serious about this problem. Thank you. Shall we take questions?
Yes, yeah. If anyone has any questions. Yes, sir.
So Sarah mentioned that the governor, you said the governor wants to bring in the National Guard. Is that your opinion, or have you seen something to substantiate that?
That is my opinion, and I'm basing it off of his rhetoric. I'm basing it off of the fact that he is putting out propaganda videos trying to paint Tulsa like some lawless wasteland. And I don't know if this is more because he just wants to get attention from the federal government, if this is in part because he feels offended that he still has he continues to lose in court over and over and over again whenever he's fighting with tribes over our sovereignty. And I think that he does not appreciate the great working relationship that Mayor Nichols has developed with our tribal leaders and our tribal partners. They are actively working to promote public safety, and the governor has not made it a secret that he doesn't like that the McGirt decision happened and that our tribal boundaries, our reservation boundaries, were affirmed to never having been formally disestablished. So I think when you hear the governor number one, he's making propaganda videos. Number two, he is here on TV saying, if Tulsa won't take care of this problem, we're going to have to take even stronger actions. Okay, where have we heard that rhetoric before? We're seeing it. The troops are moving into Chicago right now. Okay, there is an active campaign from the White House to attack cities with black mayors. I don't think it's a coincidence that every city that has been targeted so far has had a black mayor. And I think Kevin Stitt sees this as an opportunity to further his vendetta against not just the tribes, but also our new mayor.
He wants to appease Trump. That's
You have a question?
no.
Okay.
So how much does this have to do, if at all, with Tulsa having a Democratic mayor?
Well, I think it's interesting that he's not doing the same thing in Oklahoma City, where I was yesterday, though that's a serious problem in that city as well. What's different between Oklahoma City and Tulsa? Well, I leave you to figure that out. Erica Watkins?
Yeah, I was just wondering with some of the conversations that you've had with these individuals that are affected yesterday, I've seen people that have went through this in other cities saying that, they're losing their birth certificates, their driver's license, their social security cards, pictures of their family that are irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing pictures of bulldozers over all of the belongings that these people have. What, if any, what policies does OHP have in place to make sure that people are able, or is it just that they lose absolutely everything, including their identification documents, or is OHP giving them a chance to even get that? Because what are we doing for these people that, could lose their opportunity to get employment or anything by having their stuff bulldozed?
So we can't speak for OHP, of course. I'm not sure what their policies are. I will say, just on that note slightly, that we have spoke to people who are highway patrolmen who are unhappy that the governor is using them in a political stunt. And I've spoke with people who are unhoused who have had both positive and negative experiences over the last 48 hours with the highway patrol, with the Department of Public Safety. It's very telling that we got a report from the governor's office. They cleaned up 200,000 pounds of debris. But within that debris is people's medication. It's their documents, things that make it so that they can access services that are going to help them get into a better place in life. And what I didn't see in that statement, though, is how many people are now in a treatment facility. How many people are on their way to recovery now because of Kevin Stitt? How many people slept in a bed last night who otherwise wouldn't have? The information about the human impact here was very, very, it was noticeable that it was not included. And I'm looking forward to seeing that information from the governor's office.
And the Oklahoma Democratic Party knows that we need a smarter approach to a complicated problem. If you have law enforcement in those communities, they should have embedded mental health professionals and people who can get services at the point of care to people who need them. It's about shelters that have beds available, low barrier shelters for people who have medication needs, who come with pets, etc. It takes a lot of things to knock somebody off their feet. It takes a lot of things to help get them back on their feet. And if that's what we want, good, productive citizens who can take care of themselves, throwing their stuff out and moving them down a road is not a solution. We need a comprehensive approach. I believe Mayor Nichols has a comprehensive approach. We should give it time to work and not worry about stunts from the governor.
Yeah. He's been in office for, 9 months, all right? 9 months. We have already started making progress, and to have the governor come here and just spit in the face of everyone who has worked so hard on that plan and implementing the plan, it makes no sense to me. There is no real purpose behind this action other than it being a PR stunt. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, especially to people who work to serve this community, who do this work year round.
Tiffany?
Can you speak on what Mayor Nichols is kind of in the process of doing to have an actual resolution to the issue?
So Mayor Nichols is actually going to do a press conference tomorrow where he's going to speak more in depth to that plan. So I think we'll leave that to his team to dive in on.
Sarah, you mentioned immigration enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had confirmed cases of immigration and customs coming in and detaining people within the Tulsa city limits or within the county?
Generally speaking, or
Yeah.
okay, yes, absolutely we have. I think actually, if you don't mind, if I could let Ms. Christine answer this question because you're someone close to our.
A very dear friend was picked up. He's in his mid-40s. He came to the country when he was 11 as a child, and he was detained. We sponsored him
Her family.
for his bond, and so he is thankfully out on bond, and that is because of his family, because of support that he has a family, he has 4 daughters here, and he's been in the country for 34 years, and he was picked up. We believe that he was targeted and followed and picked up randomly on the side of the road. He was pulled over, and they impersonated law enforcement and then detained him. And then they moved his vehicle without consent.
Thank you. And this is just one of many instances that we've heard of in Tulsa County. And there are people with families, people with no criminal records. You can search online to find out where people are whenever they're taken by ICE, by federal agents. And there are people who are not able to identify where their loved one has gone. We know at the Tulsa County Jail, there's 287G contracts that our county commissioners entered into. It's a partnership. It's an agreement with ICE, with the federal government, saying that we will partner with them in these efforts. This was years and years ago. It also prescribes how we are detaining people, right? So how Tulsa County serves as a ICE, not a processing center, but it's somewhere where people go and stay. I think the limit is supposed to be 72 hours, I believe, and I could be wrong. But we know for a fact that this year there have been people who've been there for longer than a month. And so there are just questions all over the place about like how are things actually transpiring. It is very disturbing what we've seen with ICE, and we know now that there are schools, not Tulsa Public, but within the state. We know that there are schools now who are scrambling, trying to figure out how they're going to cover the cost to keep students that they have who are undocumented and who are also concurrently enrolled in college classes. They're trying to scramble now and figure out how the school can pay to cover that difference so that these children who are high performing in education, they are hard workers, so they can keep these children in their concurrent enrollment classes. Because they have gotten xenophobic directives from the Department of Justice saying that funding will no longer be used to support students who are undocumented. And so it is attacking our community in every single level.
On the subject of ICE, we do have a committee in the legislature, and speaking as a state representative, I can tell you that this committee, the State Powers Committee, is designed to deal with federal overreach. So I would remind my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that the point is to avoid giving too much federal authority in Oklahoma at the expense of the state. What if the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms had the same power as ICE did? I think you'd hear a lot of protests from my colleagues. We should be similarly concerned about the overreach of ICE in our communities. John Croissant, I think you had a question.
Yeah, again, this seems like a state overreach into the city of Tulsa. We're at 100% capacity in each of our 3 shelters in Tulsa. What has the state done in the last 7 years during the state administration to help increase the amount of beds? And again, we're 3,000 affordable housing units short in Tulsa, so we're needing to build more affordable housing for those that need it, not just those that are unhoused currently.
Yeah.
So what has been done at the state to fix this? Because I don't see this as a solution. It seems to be more of just
It's compounding the
people
issue.
around. Correct.
And I'll just note that for years, I have heard people complain that the city's approach to homelessness was just to shuffle them from one part of town to the other. How, the veracity of that, I won't speak to that, but that has been the public perception, and that is effectively what we're doing, what Governor Stitt is doing right now. I can tell you one thing that he did that hasn't helped, and that was 2 years ago, the governor just on his own accord. Nobody asked for this. The governor he disbanded the Governor's Interagency Council on Homelessness,
True.
which was a table where we brought together experts on this issue from around the state so that we could coordinate with one another, we could share resources and ideas with one another, and he just abruptly scrapped his own council to solve this issue, and now he wants to show up in Tulsa and say, oh, you guys have let this get out of control, and if you don't clean it up, like the state's going to have to do something. Well, you did do something 2 years ago. You told everyone you weren't interested. So I'll leave it there.
Let's review. Under this governor's leadership, the Department of Mental Health has been in total disarray. They propose to cancel 300 contracts servicing communities around the state. They're planning a $30 million cut to the department. And when we did invest in housing, the governor and GOP leadership insisted that 2/3 of the housing dollars we were going to invest would be spent in rural Oklahoma when we know the problem is concentrated elsewhere. If the governor was really serious about this, he would have started a long time ago addressing the root problems in Tulsa. No, he's late to the game, and he's late to planning.
Yeah, he's just, as Mayor Nichols said, he is a very unserious person, and if this does not highlight that for everyone, I don't know what would.
So is there anything you can do or you plan to do other than, actual action?
What do you mean by that?
Well, is there some kind of action you can take other than, this?
Yeah, so we are asking for anyone who cares about our city, who cares about our state, who cares at all about treating humans with compassion and recognizing another person's humanity, regardless of their living situation or their immigration status. We are asking you to call the governor's office and tell Kevin Stitt to knock it off and to work with the city, partner with the city. There are great people, great organizations doing coordinated work, and they could use a partner like Kevin Stitt. They could use the governor of our state leaning in a real way and being an actual partner. That's what we need. And so regardless of how you feel, listen, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, I don't care, okay? What we're doing to humans right now is not right. And even if you are happy that something is being done, I get it, because it's a frustrating issue. People feel different ways about different aspects of it. But if you actually want something to be done, what Kevin Stitt is doing right now is making the issue worse. I am telling you, they are not taking people off of the street. They are taking them 2 miles down the road, and they're dropping them back off in a worse condition than they found them in. And they're throwing all of their things away, and they are leaving them in a different location where it's going to be more difficult now for them to access services. I know people who are homeless who have jobs, plural, okay? I helped volunteer in 2021 in February when we had the big Arctic storm that came through, the Arctic freeze. I was very close with different encampments in the area. I went to one. There was a guy who I knew, like, he and his dog, like, they needed to come. We were desperately trying to get people off of the streets, out of their camps, and into hotel rooms, into shelters, into all of the resources that opened up when we were trying to save people's lives. That was the same year, I'll remind you, that a man froze to death on the sidewalk in front of the sheriff's office. Okay. And this man, who I was trying to get to come with us, would not leave his tent, even though he had a very high likelihood that he could potentially freeze to death that night. He would not leave his tent to come with us because I could not tell him what hotel it was going to be. We didn't know what part of town it was going to be in, and he knew the bus route to get to his job in the morning, and he did not want to be in a position to where he could potentially miss work the next day and get fired. So just if you really want something to be done about this issue, you have got to tell the governor to stop this effort and to work in partnership with the city, because he is truly making it worse. He is making it worse. These people are still homeless. They're still on the street, and they're worse off than when they found them. So regardless of how you feel about the issue, this is not the way to go about it, and it will make it worse.
And you ask what we're going to do, Randy. The Oklahoma Democratic Party is going to field candidates all over the state next year. We already have a record number of candidates signed up all over Oklahoma. And if you've ever thought about running for office, contact the Oklahoma Democratic Party. We'll get behind you. The answer to this problem is more democracy. It's more Democrats. And you know what else we're going to do? We're going to support the initiative to raise the minimum wage, because working families can't survive on $7.25 an hour. It's time we did something to provide justice for working people in Oklahoma. You want to work in Oklahoma? Good, but you should be paid a living wage.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a statement that I want to make. This happened to me on Friday. I called the governor's office. I was on hold for 45 minutes.
Yeah. I also called.
To the person, she talked over me. She advised me that Tulsa is dangerous, and all these homeless people are dangerous, and that is why they were doing it in Tulsa. And I said, why are you not doing it in his backyard in Oklahoma City? And she said, because we've got it under control.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, and I'm not here to besmirch our neighbors in Oklahoma City, but they are in no better position than we are. And, I called the governor's office as well on Friday. I was on hold for 30 minutes before I hung up because I had to go get my kids from school. I'm going to hope that that's because so many people were calling that is just how it worked out. I'm going to hope that they are not intentionally leaving people on the line for half an hour, 45 minutes before they answer the phone, and intentionally keeping the public at a distance from their governor. Any other questions?
I've also seen more homeless people in my neighborhood in the past 3 days than I have the entire time I've lived there.
Yeah, and this is a good point to note as well, is that our hospitals, our emergency rooms are being flooded right now with people who may or may not have a medical reason to be there. If you are driving people away from their spaces without telling them where to go, without having a place for them to go, the governor's "you have a choice, shelter, treatment, or jail" is bullshit. It's bullshit. I want to see the data. How many people have been put in jail over the last 48 hours for the crime of being poor? Because he's not taking them anywhere. They are dropping them back off down the road. So what do you think is going to happen? We want to bring the crime down. Okay, well, you're running around yanking people up out of their spaces and then just sending them out to the streets pissed off, I'm sure. None of this makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. The only way that this makes sense is if you think that the governor is trying to make people angry and he is trying to paint Tulsa as some lawless wasteland, and he's doing this to what end? To what end, Randy? That's why I said, I believe that this is all an effort of getting National Guard troops here to have tanks rolling down Tulsa streets. Because what other reason is there? It's a personal attack on our mayor, and it is a personal attack on our city.
Want to
Yes,
take two
sir.
more questions?
Is there any way that we can sue them so we could stop or slow this down?
I don't know that, but I will say that we are going to be reaching out to different partners, different legal advocacy organizations. I know that ACLU is aware of the situation, and we'll be plugging in with them just to see what our options are, because I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
Him trying to get the National Guard in here, do you think it has to do with the fact that he hasn't been able to silence the natives and he wants to try and run them over?
Yeah, I think that Kevin Stitt's ego was bruised right after he got elected. He was trying to do the whole CEO big win and 90-day thing, and that win that he wanted was to scrap our compacts, our gaming compacts with the tribes. He wanted to renegotiate. He didn't bring anybody to the table. He didn't send an email, make a call asking tribal leaders to come sit down to renegotiate, because had he done that, he would have found a lot of them would have been very happy to renegotiate. They wanted different things too. Instead, he put a op-ed in the papers basically saying, we're getting screwed by the Indians. We deserve a better deal. I'm going to get a better deal for all 4 million Oklahomans. And he lost that fight. McGirt happened the next year. He continues to lose that fight.
Yep.
He is, whoever the lawyers are for this, they no doubt see Kevin Stitt as their retirement plan, because the man cannot stop going to court and losing. And I'm sure they are very happy to go to trial. And I think that Kevin hasn't been able to get over the fact that that has happened and he's never had a win in that arena. And now we've got a mayor who has an excellent working relationship with tribal leaders, and they are making deals, they are improving public safety, and they are standing on the side of sovereignty, which is the right thing to do, especially when you're standing on a reservation. So there is a lot to it, I'm sure, but yes, I think that this absolutely stems all the way back to when he was first elected, and he got his first loss to the tribe, and he just hasn't been able to stop ever since. Okay, last question, and then we'll go. Anyone else?
So, the governor is the commander of the National Guard. So, is there anything stopping him from sending in the National Guard?
If the governor were to declare a state of emergency and obtain those powers, he could, subject to review by the legislature, which is out of session right now. So I do think in theory he could do that, but you have to establish why this was necessary. And I think our Guard, I want to thank all the members of the Guard for the work they do, are much better used in training, in disaster response, and preparing for the security needs of Oklahomans and for the United States. So I wouldn't urge him to put the Guard out here to do something the Highway Patrol shouldn't be doing either. If we want to police our streets, if we want secure communities, let's do it with our local resources, the good folks at Tulsa Police Department and the mental health workers and service workers at the Tulsa Housing Authority, Tulsa Housing Solutions, the mayor's office. Let's do a comprehensive, sensible plan that does the job the way it needs to be done. That builds a safer community. So I guess I would close by saying, Governor, I think we need more houses and fewer mansions.
Yeah, you're here. Okay. All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for tuning in.